Welcome, everyone. This is the 6th of February, 2025. This is Jenkins Documentation Office Hours. Thanks for being here. Today, we can discuss Contributor Summit, talk about long-term support releases, Alpha Omega project idea, latest status there. I don't think there's much we can say on plugin developer documentation. Needs more discussion with Antoine separately, and what do we do to approach it? Chinese documentation side, I'd like to continue the discussion I had with Chris earlier, and based on some conversation I had with another Chinese speaker at Contributor Summit. So, and then Blue Ocean deprecation, not much to say. What else needs to be on the agenda? Meg, you had one on developer experience for the documentation, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that one. Great. Chris, any that you want to add?
Maybe for GSOC we have another project, but we also have a new mentor, potential mentor.
Okay. New
Yeah,
project and new potential mentor. Very
yeah,
good. All right.
that's like loosely related to documentation, so I think I might bring it up here.
Great. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, so I'd like to move this one after those two topics because I think it's more likely to spend a lot of time on that one, and I don't want to risk missing these other topics that the two of you have added.
Okay.
All right. So, Meg, you want to share with us first how things are going for you and what you're doing about it?
Yeah, I'm crawled off in my hidey hole feeling sorry for myself. Um, yeah, I can't get the build to work following the instructions, but um one thing to what should I be using Docker Engine or Docker desktop
I
or should
use
they all
Docker.
work?
Well, let's see. I use Docker Desktop, I think.
Okay,
Let,
that was what I finally did. I tried them all, but I just okay. So I'm working with the right one.
yeah, I use Docker Desktop for Ubuntu. Now, which Ubuntu version are you running? I'm using 2204 right now. I haven't upgraded
I
to
am too.
24 yet. Oh, you are?
Uh,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And Chris, what environment are you using for your documentation development for the Jenkins.io site?
I'm using a Mac, so
Oh,
just pull in from Docker, just a command I think make fast and then make one.
right. You just do make run. Okay, good. And that's I use make run as well. So sounds like Meg, it may need you and I to spend some time in debugging and diagnosis just to figure
Yeah.
it out.
Right now, what I'm running into is a whole bunch of complaints about file permissions.
Oh,
So,
oh,
so there, which it may be, this is so disgusting because I had this all set up at one point, but
uh,
it may be that on my new system I'm defaulting to the wrong file permissions for my
could be
directories.
right.
But I'm having to set. Should I have um 777 permission on like everything in the path?
Oh no, at least I don't. Uh, let me
Okay.
let me double check. I'll show you mine, but I definitely don't have anything that broad.
Oh, that's the only way I'm getting anything to run at all.
Yeah, which probably hints we need to find out what it is
Yeah.
that's going on in your environment. Mine are all the directors are 775 with me as owner and group.
Okay.
So and the files are 664. So you definitely shouldn't need 777.
Okay. Let me go and play with it some more, and then in your copious free time.
Well, we may put it on for a discussion late, 12 hours from now, right? When you and I could both be available and have some time on
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Well, yeah, not urgent.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. Anything else? And so, and you've opened Meg opened a PR or opened an issue to track it.
Right, because I figured I need to make a list of all my stuff, and it's like let's put them out in the public because
Right.
There's clear, once I get this done, there's some little things like if it's Docker engine, it should, the doc should at least link and, tell them which Docker they need and give them a link to the installation. Right
Right.
now, it tells them how to tell what version they've got.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Good.
looks like, are we supporting really old versions of Docker? Because I noticed that,
I definitely don't. I stay absolutely current. So in my case, Docker version is currently 27.5.1.
because what I noticed is the documentation says, oh, I don't have this, but it says it must be at least a certain version, which is like way older than where I am, and maybe we want to
Oh,
update.
okay. Yeah. So
Um,
I know for me, I automatically update anytime they offer me an update. I just take it and if something breaks, I'll go hunting then to figure out why it broke.
yeah, but there's one for what the doc says you have to have this minimally to run, and I don't know if we want to be trying to support people who are way back there, so
Right. Good.
we might even phrase that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I've also got a little PR because I discovered that we still say that the doc office hours are every week at 2 time slots.
Oh,
So I
okay.
just did a quick fix on that, and now it doesn't like my name, and I'm having all sorts of fun, and I'm so good at this stuff.
Okay. So are incorrectly described on the page. Oops. So
Right,
let's get
but
that
I
fixed.
if I can get past it, I'm trying to push a PR, so and it'll be a trivial one to fix.
So we are once every 2 weeks, not twice every week.
Right.
Good.
And I
All
think,
right.
well, the one, and you want to get, because I didn't remove the time slot for the other one. I said something that, that time is reserved for Asia if anybody needs it to contact. I forget what, just above in the file, you and Kevin are
Listed
giving
in
us
some
something. I
way,
said,
right? Send to
contact
a
one of the
mailing
people there
list
for,
or open in Gitter or something. Good.
yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, so that's my tale of woe.
Thanks, Meg. Thank you. Chris, you want to take the next Google Summer of Code? Should I open a page? Has the new project already been merged to Jenkins.io, or do you want to show something?
Or you can just open the page because like it's the first one on the GSOC ideas page.
Okay, good. So let's look for GSOC ideas. GSOC 2024, 2025 project ideas. Okay.
It's the first one here, AI powered chatbot for quick access to Jenkins resources.
Okay.
So it's like there are a few different approaches suggested, and so we will add to this documentation soon because I've been busy over the last few days. I'll work on the docs a little bit because like we have to bring up one of the projects from draft to accept it as well. So I will just update this one to use a tool that can be used for facilitating this type of project called Index. So maybe I should paste a link here to him. So this is what I'll add to it because like that if we use this the idea would be slightly altered, but it really depends on how we want to approach this. So but
So
that
so
build a chat bot to like to help the user to access the resources more readily on Jenkins.
so the idea is we would train uh, the the
Um,
chatbot with the data from Jenkins.io and let it answer questions
I think
or point them to
can we
pages.
can we go back to the ideas page?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, because like if you look, I'm not sure if we have that.
Oh, and the idea is a Jenkins plugin. So this is inside the
Yeah,
Jenkins
yeah,
controller. Oh, okay. All right.
yeah. Because like we might use PyTorch instead to make it easier to manipulate. So that's kind of dumb, but it won't be related to LLM. And also like for the project idea, let me just find it because there was a link before I shared with someone else because like we use like we use some more basic uh technology from PyTorch to make a chatbot.
Mm.
might make work too, but we have to have it like a way to feed data into the chatbot.
Okay, so this is the chatbot link you pasted.
Yep.
And so oh, I see. Okay, so the
Yeah.
idea again is that the user of Jenkins might interact with the chatbot to ask it questions from right inside their Jenkins.
I think so, yeah.
Hmm, okay.
Different ways to do this. It depends on how much like sponsorship we can get, and also like I may need to talk to you about sponsorship later on because we might need some sponsor for the AI projects, but I'm not sure because I
And
might.
sponsor because of the hardware requirement, because of the back end to execute it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And but you say resources, not just documentation. Does that mean that you would get into so
Mhm.
plugins as well as main Jenkins? And but also, what
Yeah.
about we've got some online help that's inside Jenkins itself? Will you get to that?
Maybe we have this kind of like for lack of a bad word, scrape all the data we have from the Jenkins IO website, including the plugin site, and we will need also like maybe not just the documentation, but we need to check because there's some
Right.
components and also
And it
some
might be too that we want to start with the documentation and then consider other things too,
yep, that's the starting
just
point.
to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
very interesting. Because we could use DeepSeek and then we wouldn't need as much hardware. Just saying.
Yeah.
That's hey, that's I am the wrong person to ask questions about AI and natural language. So I'm the happy beneficiary of them. But yeah, I look forward to these kind of things. This looks really great, Chris.
Yeah, we can add R1, DeepSeek R1 into the mix. So that's a model for LLM used by DeepSeek, supposedly.
Okay.
So we could use the open source version of it, I guess. If they have it, they should have it. I think you can train it on a Mac M1 to M2, M3, M4 too. So
Okay.
that should be possible, but that's why I need to double check and add documentation to this project idea to make it more complete. Because like it was proposed by the if you can go scroll down a little bit, so there's a name that's besides mine, I think. Yeah, that one. That,
Okay.
that's the current commentor, but I'll ask Bruno if he wants to commentor too later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is
Interesting.
this
So it
potential
says
mentor, who
currently
proposed this?
working on their bachelor's in computer science and in sophomore year, but this person is proposing to be a mentor, not a contributor.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it's like he maybe kind of like Alex. So
Ah, okay.
yeah, because he I think according to him, let me check again because I think he said something about like he's a CDF ambassador.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So
Okay.
already a CDF ambassador.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if he updated his like profile
Right.
though. That's
Right.
why
It could be
may have
that this is
graduated.
just out of date,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you, Chris.
Welcome.
Anything else you want to highlight there?
Just want to highlight we now have currently have two AI based projects. So because like Google is asking like they're looking for more security and also some AI based projects. So they give more weight to these projects. And
Okay.
also like we Bruno suggested to ask you about like maybe remodeling, repurposing the CSP initiative and make it like a part of it into a GSOC project if possible.
Oh, interesting idea. Okay, so let me capture that one. I hadn't thought of that one. So the new project is a chatbot
Yep.
plugin inside Jenkins to answer user questions. All right, and
Yep.
then new project idea, and then the suggestion was a new V Srinivas, and then the other you said was, let's see, so let me capture that. It was uh, content security policy,
To be repurposed, to have a part of it as a
right? Implementation as a GSOC project idea.
yep. So that's how we can get funding that way.
Yeah, the complication there is CSP work is distinctly complicated, and
Yeah.
Shlomo, for instance, spent a significant time getting ramped up on it.
Okay.
Oh dear, what's his, Yaroslav Afenkin had already worked on it for quite an extended period while he was inside the Jenkins security team. So his ramp up was less, but I'm not sure that a new contributor is going to be successful with something as technically demanding as content security policy changes. It is ultimately just JavaScript, right? But
Yeah.
saying it's just JavaScript hides the very real complexity that you can't make these changes without knowing how to test them. And in
Mhm.
order to test them, you have to learn enough about that particular piece of Jenkins to exercise it. And it was an enormous amount of tutoring for Basel and Yaroslav to help Shlomo get to that point where he was comfortable. Hey, let's do it. So
See. So
Mark is
we
skeptical of this one, but I'll talk to Bruno some more about it, just because it 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 would certainly be great if we could do it. I just have a hard time seeing how it could be successful.
I don't think it's easy. So maybe
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Now maybe I'm not being demanding enough of GSOC contributors, right? Because Shlomo was a GSOC contributor and did very, very well for the stats site, right? He did a great job on that.
Yep, he did, yeah.
So it's saying that we can't give difficult or challenging projects to GSOC contributors is clearly false, right? We've had
It
multiple difficult
depends.
projects.
It depends, because like quality varies. And sometimes like the contributor can complete the project itself, but it doesn't mean like they do everything. Sometimes I had to pick up a lot of this
Ah,
that
okay.
remains
So
with that.
so it puts a heavier burden on the mentor if
Yeah.
we take too aggressive of a project or too bold of a
I
project.
don't think so. It's like if we don't have a good enough candidates, if we don't have a good
Ah, okay.
contributor, that's why it's like I have to pick up the slack. But I think
I
it's
see.
one way that should be the case. Like for example, for the GSOC, like retooling project, like that I had to do a lot myself. The
Okay.
contributor was constantly asking for help and was always making mistakes too because he was kind of rookie. So when he left us, we were still kind of rookie. So
Right.
depends
So
on person. So next time we should be more picky. I think more selective.
well, and that may hint, even if Google approves a project, we might conceivably say we're not going to do this project simply because we don't have a qualified candidate. And
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever actually done that. It's always been, we'll take the best candidate, even if we think they might be inadequate. But your point is, an inadequate candidate is probably not good enough for many of these projects.
I think it's like this year I'm going to interview some candidates to see like how competent they are to test out
Oh, good,
if that's possible. So only for my projects though. But I
good.
think it's like yeah, I think we need to because like sometimes you cannot like maybe the second best is actually the best, except they don't write a good enough proposal because they don't have like the background to do that at the time they apply. But it's like doesn't mean they're not the best. Such as like the project we had last year, actually the one we picked, Nora, was supposed to be second place at
Hmm.
first, but we helped her to improve her proposal, and she eventually got better at it. So it's good she got selected because there was another guy competing for the same project too. We're gonna pick him or her, so it's between the two people. So first and second proposals according to our
Very good.
options. Yeah, but I think it's like we should add a component to it to like interview the candidates too. But
Thank
sure.
you. Now, I apologize. I'm up against a time barrier. Are there other topics that we need to discuss before we conclude for today? I feel like we covered the most crucial topics already. Anything
Oh,
else that you feel
do you
like we
want to
need
talk
to
about
discuss?
the Chinese translations?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
that's a good one. Let me move that one up and give a brief summary of what Runsha Ye and Runsha Ye and Mark discussed at FOSDEM. And what Runsha observed was, so I had started a process of retiring the Chinese localization site,
yeah,
but then was surprised when I looked at the installation count, and there are 58,000 installations of the plugin.
yeah. That's not.
That's 20%. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's a quite a sizable number actually.
It is. That's a lot. And so then the thought was, oh, should we change and instead switch and consider asking the Jenkins project to fund a Chinese localization? And I thought, okay, and I started talking to a localization vendor. And but then I talked to Runsha, and she warned that, hey, Mark, the Chinese community is very creative, and they probably already are doing things their own way, even without our project site, etc. So what Runsha suggested was check the actual usage of the site,
Okay.
of the Chinese site. You get real analytics
Yeah.
with analytics, and if it's not actively used, okay, then we could shut it down. Um, the other suggestion from Daniel Beck was check the actual usage of Chinese localization, because if I recall correctly, he suggested that in the logs that we receive, or in the data we receive, we might actually have the browser locale included in some of the data.
Okay.
I haven't done either of these, but that was the suggestion. Before we do anything as dramatic as drop the site, let's be sure that we're not dropping a site that's being actively read by many users, and we ought to instead uh, find someone who'll fund more Chinese translation.
Is anyone like maintaining the localization plugin for Chinese?
No, it hasn't received any modification in multiple years.
Can I update? Can I adopt it?
Sure, absolutely, if you'd
At
like. It's
least,
just
yeah.
my worry is that I'm not sure I want to pile that on you, but certainly I'm sure people would be delighted if you were willing to adopt it.
Yeah, okay. I'll just like make sure it's actively maintained at least. Actively made to work properly.
Well, and that's I think that is my biggest is right now the original catalyst for this conversation was the install guide is dramatically different in English than it was 2 or 3 years ago when it was last translated. So Chinese readers are seeing wrong instructions on how to install Jenkins if they're reading the Chinese pages.
I could
And
update
that
it.
was my worry is, okay, that's just wrong information.
Yeah.
If we were to correct that, my biggest objection would be resolved. But the problem is I'm not a Chinese speaker, and I don't trust automated translations from English to Chinese to be good enough to publish without a native Chinese speaker reviewing them.
Okay. We could like I could draft the project idea for GSOC to modernize it too, but I'll help like maintain it, I think. Because
Oh, okay.
I do write Chinese, so it's like it might work that way. But we have to specify is for like we need Chinese proficiency regardless
Right.
of nationality. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
and it's for me it's oh dear, I think it's traditional Chinese, right? In
What's
terms
it
of the
for
character
Chinese?
set.
Does it matter? Is it for Chinese from England? If that's the case,
It
we should.
is. Right, it is. It's the original translator was mainland Chinese based in
I think
Beijing.
it's yeah, not traditional.
Oh,
But we
that's
could.
not traditional. Oh, no, 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 you're right. It's simplified. Thank you. Simplified Chinese,
Mm.
which is mainland China, right?
Yep.
Not Taiwan, not Hong Kong, and not Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore. Singapore is simplified.
Right.
Mm.
Got it. Okay, good.
And
All right.
we also, on a previous conversation, and I don't know how we find this out, we're wondering whether the actual Jenkins users are not primarily, but are English speaking. Are they just using localization so that the end users are getting error messages in Chinese, or do they actually, who is using the Chinese localization?
Right. And I don't know how to answer that question, but it's a good question. Daniel Beck
Because
suggests
my
we could
gut level
instrument.
hunch, yeah, my gut level hunch is that most of the Chinese technical community is proficient in English. Is that your, Chris? You probably know better.
I'm not sure because like some people like if they don't like they even post Chinese in the English discussion forums, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. I've been more than once had to apply Google Translate to convert simplified Chinese characters or Korean characters into English in a bug report.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
But again, that tell us really about user population? No, that tells us a very small sample size what they're doing.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
some developers they still prefer to use Chinese if they can. That's
Right.
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now I apologize. I've got to end for today. Anything else we need to discuss before we close?
Nope. Go.
I think so.
All
One
right.
more I was having on my mind, but let me think. Wait, what was it? It was just I just it's about I have to talk to you later, Mark, because I don't remember, but I think it's important.
So how about Chris? I'll set up some time for you and me one-on-one and try to do it during your day when you're not supposed to be sleeping.
Okay, yeah, sure. But it during my day it's kind of difficult because I have a job full time. But
Understood. So
yeah, we could do
I'll probably
that.
propose a time and you can counter propose and say, no, Mark, that doesn't work. How about this?
Or it could be your morning.
Yeah, and morning for me is really, really challenging because of my meetings with Europe. I have lots of people in Europe that I need to
My
meet with.
daytime too. My daytime can work too. Yeah, let's make it work.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right.